The
Damn
stars had
stage.
always called to humanity. For thousands of years, people looked up at the night sky and wondered what was out there. They built rockets. They sent probes. They walked on their moon. And finally, after centuries of dreaming, they built a ship that could travel faster than light.
What is that? Is that like
Admiral
a...
Park stood on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel called the Horizon's Edge. He was 62 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too much. But today, those eyes were bright with hope. Today, humanity would finally meet the galaxy. Through the massive viewport, he watched as the council
Maverick,
station
no
grew
barking.
larger. It was enormous, bigger than any city on Earth. Thousands of lights blinked across its surface. Ships of every shape and size flew around it like insects around a lamp. "It is beautiful," said a voice beside him.
My
Turned to
neighbors?
look at Ambassador. She was younger than him, only 45, but she carried the weight of all humanity on her shoulders. She had spent 20 years preparing for this moment, learning about the alien species, studying their cultures, practicing her words again and again.
I'm down to
"Are you
search
ready?"
it on
asked her.
Spotify.
Smiled, but he could see the worry in her eyes. "I have to be," she said. "We all have
Wait,
to be."
is that like a...
The ship
Wait, I'm
docked
confused.
at the
A game?
station, and a
Wait,
team
I'm
of
so
20
confused.
humans walked through the long corridor that led to the council chamber. Armed guards stood on both sides, but they were not human guards. They were huge creatures made of rock and fire. Their eyes glowed red as they watched the humans pass. The council chamber was the largest room any of them had ever seen. The
So,
ceiling was so high that clouds actually formed near the top. 12 platforms rose from the floor, arranged in a circle. On each platform sat a member of a different species.
oh, a mode, okay.
Recognized them from the briefing files. They were tall and thin, their bodies made of crystal that caught the light and scattered it into rainbows. They were not solid at all, but beings of pure light and thought that floated like ghosts. They sat heavy on their platform, flames dancing across their stone skin.
Is it above me?
And there were others, the insect-like, the
Above?
aquatic in their water tanks, the ancient whose faces never showed emotion, 12 species in total, the oldest and most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. "You may approach," said a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Walked forward, her footsteps echoing in the massive chamber. Stayed behind with the rest of the delegation, watching, waiting. "I am Ambassador of the United Earth Government," she said clearly. "We come in peace. We come seeking friendship." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the leader of the leaned forward. His name was, and he was the high arbiter of the council. He had led this body for over 300 years. "We know who you are," said. His voice was like wind chimes in a storm. "We have watched your species for a long time. We saw you discover fire. We saw you build your first cities. We saw you make war upon each other again and again." Nodded slowly. "Yes, our history has violence in it, but we have also created great beauty, art, music, science. We have learned from our mistakes." "Have you?" asked. "Even now, there are conflicts on your world, groups fighting over resources, nations threatening each other with weapons that could destroy everything." "We are working to solve those problems," said. "That is why we are here. We believe that joining the galactic community will help us become better." A sound came from the platform. It took a moment to realize it was laughter, deep, rumbling laughter that shook the floor. "The child thinks it can run before it can walk," said the counselor. His name was, and fire leaked from the cracks in his stone body. "Your species is barely 10,000 years old. We were building starships when your ancestors were living in caves."
Find your account.
"Age does not equal wisdom," said calmly, "and youth does
Fuck
not
my
mean
orange.
we have nothing to offer." The counselor spoke next. Her voice was soft like a whisper in a dream. "We do not doubt your potential, Ambassador, but potential is dangerous. You are unstable, unpredictable. Your people change too quickly. You adapt in ways that frighten the older species." "Frighten," repeated. "We frighten you." "You should not sound so proud of that," said sharply. "Fear is not respect. Fear is caution. We have seen species like yours before. They burn bright and then they burn out. They destroy themselves or they destroy others. We cannot allow that to happen. Took a deep breath. What are you saying? Stood, and his crystal body caught the light of 100 stars. We are saying that humanity is not ready to join the Galactic Council. Your application for membership is. The words hit like a physical blow. He saw several members of his delegation stumble. One young officer had to grab a railing to stay
I
upright.
don't know how to drive, bro.
You cannot be serious, said, her voice
shit.
cracking for the first time.
Fuck.
We traveled so far, we have so much to share.
Drive.
The decision is final, said. Furthermore, humanity
What the
is
fuck?
hereby restricted to its home system.
Okay.
You are
whatever.
not permitted to travel in council space. You are not permitted to trade with council species. You are not permitted to establish colonies beyond your own star. You are putting
For
us in a
festivals?
cage, whispered.
I
We
mean,
are
this is my
protecting the
first time playing
galaxy,
it, to be
replied.
honest.
Perhaps in
Like, actually playing it, it's
1,000
actually
years
not
you
a
will
bad
be
game,
ready.
in my opinion.
Perhaps in 10,000, but not today, not for a very long time. The council members began to leave their platforms. The audience was over. The decision was made. Humanity had been judged, and humanity had been found wanting. Walked forward and put his hand on shoulder. She was shaking, but not with sadness. When she turned to look at him, he
Maverick,
saw
stop
fire in her
barking. Leave him
eyes.
alone.
Not the fire of the, but something older, something more dangerous. The
Dude,
fire of human
Guitar Hero used to be
determination.
my fucking favorite.
They
as
have made a
kid.
mistake, she said quietly, so only he could hear. Nodded. He looked up at the empty platforms, at the council that had dismissed his entire species like they were nothing, like they were children to be scolded and sent to their rooms. Yes, he agreed, they have made a terrible mistake. They walked back to their ship in silence. The guards watched them go, but no one spoke. What was there to say? The humans had come with hope and they were leaving with nothing. But that was not entirely true. As the horizon's edge undocked from the station and began its long journey home,
Oh, these are the
stood
same.
at the viewport and watched the council
Fuck, I'll just use
station
this.
shrink into the distance. His hands were steady now. His mind was clear. They thought humanity was weak. They thought humans would accept their judgment and stay quietly in their corner of the galaxy. They were wrong. What do we do now? Asked one of the young officers. Turned away from the
I'm
viewport.
going the wrong way.
He looked at the faces of his crew, at the pain and anger and confusion they all felt. We go home, he said, and then we become something they cannot ignore, something they cannot control, something they will learn to fear. Stood beside him, and slowly she began to smile. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had just found a new purpose. They wanted us to stay small, she said. They wanted us to be afraid. Instead, they have given us a reason to grow, a reason to become more than we ever dreamed. The stars streamed past the viewport
I
as
see
the
someone.
ship jumped into faster-than-light travel.
Oh, wait,
Earth
did I?
was waiting for them, and
Maybe I was
Earth
tripping.
would hear their message. The Council had rejected humanity. So humanity would build something
I'm gonna
greater,
wait.
something that would shake the very foundations of the galaxy. An empire
Yeah.
born not from hatred, but from wounded pride, from the simple human refusal to accept the word no. The journey home took 3 weeks, and in those 3 weeks and began to plan. They talked for hours every day, making notes, drawing diagrams, dreaming of a future the council could not imagine.
That
They
was
did
so
not
bad.
know it yet, but they were planting the seeds of the greatest change the galaxy had
My
ever
aim was
seen.
so bad there.
10
Okay, wait,
years
wait,
had
wait,
passed since the council rejected humanity. 10 years of quiet work. 10 years of anger turned into action. And now, everything was about to change. Director walked through the halls of the United Earth
Savage,
Research
yes, I'm trying to
Division.
practice.
He was a
by
thin man with
myself.
thick glasses and
No one's on
wild
at the
hair
moment
that
anyways.
refused
Oh, wait,
to
I can
stay
just
flat.
top it off with this really
People
quick.
said he was a genius. People
then I'll have the
also
big
said
jug.
he was slightly mad.
Okay.
Both things were true.
Look at this big old
The
thing.
research facility was built
Oh,
deep
shit.
underground, hidden from the eyes that might be watching from space. The council had spies everywhere, or so people believed. Did not know if this was true, but he took
Where'd he
no
go?
chances. Director, the new
Stay with
engine
her.
is ready for testing, said Dr. Han, his chief assistant. She was young, only 30, but her mind was sharp as any blade. Nodded and followed her to the testing chamber. Through a thick window, he could see the engine. It was beautiful in its strangeness, a twisting mass of metal and light that seemed to bend space around it.
Where is he?
The Council's fastest ships can travel at 10 times the speed of light, said. Our original engine could do 12. And this one, asked. Smiled 50. Felt his heart skip. That is impossible. I thought so too, admitted. But the mathematics are sound. We found a way to fold space more efficiently. The Council never discovered it because they stopped looking. They thought they had reached the limit. We proved them wrong.
Is that a bot?
The engine roared to life. The testing chamber filled with light so bright that had to look away. When the light faded, the data screens showed results that made his hands shake. 53 times the speed of light, he whispered. We just changed everything. On the other side of the planet, General was also making history. She stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel Pathfinder, looking at a world that no human had ever seen before. The planet was ugly by most standards.
I don't know. What
its atmosphere was poison. Its surface was covered with acid lakes and jagged mountains. The Council had surveyed this world centuries ago and declared it worthless. Begin landing procedures, ordered. Her crew obeyed without question. They were the best humanity had to offer. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, all of them volunteers, all of them believers in the dream of a human empire. The Pathfinder landed on a flat plain between two mountain ranges. Was the first to step outside, her body protected by a suit that team had designed. It could withstand temperatures hot enough to melt steel and cold enough to freeze blood. This world is ours now, she said into her communicator, knowing that her words were being recorded for history. We name it New Seoul, after the city where the dreams of empire were first born. Over the next 5 years, humanity colonized 40 worlds. Most of them were places the Council had ignored. Planets with toxic air, moons covered in ice, asteroids floating in the darkness between stars. Each one became a home for humans who were willing to sacrifice comfort for freedom. The technology kept advancing. Doctor, a quiet man who rarely spoke, developed a way to enhance the human brain. Small implants that boosted memory, increased processing speed, and allowed people to learn new skills in days instead of years. Dr. Han, now leading her own research team, found a way to extend human. The first treatments could add 50 years to a person's life. The improved versions could add 200. The Council species lived for thousands of years. Humanity was catching up. Admiral Park watched all of this from his command center in orbit above Earth. He was 72 now, but the new medical treatments had given him the body of a man 20 years younger. His mind was sharper than ever, enhanced by implants. Show me the fleet, he said to his officers. A holographic display appeared before him. 200 ships floated in the darkness of space, hidden in the shadow of Jupiter. Each one was larger than anything the Council possessed. Each one carried weapons that team had designed in secret. We are not ready yet, said Ambassador, standing beside him. She was using a walking cane now, too proud to accept the full medical treatments that could have restored her youth. We need more time. Time is running out, replied. The Council has started asking questions. Their spies have noticed the increase in our ship traffic. They know something is happening. Sighed, then we must be more careful. We cannot reveal ourselves before we are strong enough to survive their response. Nodded, but deep inside, a part of him wanted to fight now. He had waited 10 years. He had watched his people work themselves to exhaustion. He had seen the hope in their eyes grow stronger with each passing year. But was right, she was always right. They needed more time. The next 20 years were the hardest. Humanity expanded to 200 worlds, but they had to do it in secret. Ships traveled in silence, using routes that avoided Council patrol zones. Colonies were built underground, hidden from sensors that might be scanning from above. General led the expansion personally, jumping from world to world, solving problems, keeping morale high. She was 60 now, but she moved like she was 30.
Hurry, hurry, hurry,
The
hurry.
enhancements had changed her in ways she was still learning to understand. "We have a problem," her second in command reported one day.
First,
"They have detected unusual energy readings in this sector. They are sending a patrol to investigate."
oh my god.
Looked at
Why
the
am I
tactical
scared?
display. The ship was small, just a scout vessel with a crew of perhaps 20.
I'm reloading!
But if it found their colony, the council would know everything. "How long until they arrive?" she asked.
Why?
6 hours. Made her decision in seconds. "Evacuate the surface installation. Move everything underground. We will hide." The evacuation was a masterpiece of organization. 8,000 people and all their
Just so you
equipment
guys know.
moved into tunnels that had been dug for exactly this purpose. When the ship arrived, they found
Don't say
nothing but
anything
empty
crazy.
rock and silence. The scout vessel scanned the planet for 2 days before leaving, watched them go from a bunker 3 kilometers below the surface. She did not breathe easily until their energy signature disappeared from her sensors completely. Back on Earth, Director was pushing his teams harder than ever. The close call with the had scared everyone. They needed better defenses, better weapons, better ways to hide. "We have
Look
created
at the
something
spin.
new," announced at a meeting of the senior staff. "We call it a shadow field. It bends light and sensor waves around a ship, making it invisible to all forms of detection." "Does it work?" asked. Smiled. "We have had 3 ships orbiting Earth for the past month. The Council has scanned our system 4 times. They found nothing." The room erupted in cheers. For the first time, humanity had a real advantage over the Council. Not just speed, not just strength, but the ability
Okay,
to
just
move
dropping.
unseen. The final push came in the 45th year after the rejection. By now, humanity controlled over 2,000 worlds. Their population had grown to 50 billion people spread across the outer rim. Their technology had advanced beyond anything the Council possessed. Admiral Park, now 97 years old but looking
What the
50,
heck?
stood on the bridge of his new flagship. It was called the Eternal Soul, and it was 5 kilometers long. The biggest ship ever built by any species.
What's
"The
this?
Council will notice us soon," said. She was 109 now, kept alive by technology she had once thought impossible. "We cannot hide an empire this size forever." "We do not need to hide anymore," replied. "We have hidden long enough. Now it is time to stand in the light." Looked at him with eyes that had seen a century of change. "Are you sure we are ready?" Turned to face her. Behind him, through the viewport, 1,000 ships waited in formation. The fleet that humanity had built in secret. The weapon that would change the galaxy forever. "We have been ready for years," he said. "We were just waiting for the right moment." Smiled, and for a moment, she looked like the young ambassador who had stood before the Council so long ago. Full of hope, full of fire. "Then let them see what they created," she said. "Let them see what their rejection gave birth to." Nodded. He had waited 45 years for this moment. The burning years were over. Now the real work would begin. The scout ship floated at the edge of Council space, its sensors scanning the darkness beyond. Officer was bored. She had been assigned to this outpost for 300 years, and nothing interesting ever happened here.
Where is everyone?
Then her sensors detected something impossible. "What is that?" she asked aloud, though no one else was on the bridge to answer. The readings showed ships, many ships, but they were moving at speeds her computer could not calculate. They appeared on one side of her screen and vanished on the other before she could blink. Tried to contact the nearest Council station. Her message was cut short when one of the unknown ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly in front of her. It was massive, bigger than anything she had ever seen, and on its side, painted in letters she could somehow read, were the words, "United Earth Navy."
What the fuck?
Sent
Why
one
is he
final
staring at me
message
like
before the
that?
human ship moved on, ignoring her completely. The humans are back, and they have brought an army. High Arbiter received the message within the hour. He had been enjoying a moment of meditation when his assistant interrupted with news that shattered his ancient peace.
Yeah,
How many ships?
I thought
He
about it and I
demanded.
can make food.
Hundreds, High Arbiter, perhaps thousands. They are moving through the outer rim at speeds our sensors cannot track. Felt something he had not experienced in over 1,000 years. Fear. Real, genuine fear. Summon the council, he ordered, immediately. The 12 species gathered for the first time in 50 years. The counselor was still in his seat, flames burning hotter than usual. The floated nervously above their platform. The sat
River
perfectly
stinks so
still,
bad.
their
I had
faces
to
showing
actually
nothing.
yell at him.
This is your fault,
He
growled,
just kept
pointing at.
barking.
You told us the humans would accept our judgment. You said they would stay in
I
their
actually had
corner
to
and
yell at
behave.
him.
The decision was made by the
Now he
entire
stopped
council,
barking.
replied coldly. We all agreed. We agreed because you convinced us, roared. And now look at what your wisdom has created. An empire on our doorstep. A navy that moves
Please
like
stop this from
ghosts.
barking like
Technology
okay.
that makes our own look like toys. Enough, said the counselor. His name was Quiet Stone, and he rarely spoke. When he did, everyone listened. Fighting among ourselves will not solve this problem. We need information. We need to understand what we are facing. As if in answer to his words, the holographic display in the center of the chamber flickered to life. A human face appeared, and felt his crystal heart crack slightly. The woman looking at him was young, with dark hair and dark eyes, but her face was familiar, too familiar. Greetings, honored council, she said. My name is Shin. I am the ambassador of the human empire, and I believe you knew my grandmother. Remembered well, the desperate hope in her eyes as she begged for acceptance, the pain when they rejected her, and the cold fury as she left. Your grandmother was a fine diplomat, he said carefully. I regret that we could not help her. Laughed, but there was no joy in it. You regret nothing, High Arbiter, but you will. You see, my grandmother died 15 years ago. She never saw what humanity became. She never witnessed our rise, but she told me stories. She told me about the day you called us children, the day you locked us in a cage and threw away the key. We did what we believed was necessary, interrupted. Your species was unstable, dangerous. We were protecting the galaxy. Protecting the galaxy, repeated. From what? From growth, from change, from species that might one day be stronger than you. She shook her head slowly. The truth is, you were afraid, not of what we might do to others, but of what we might become. You looked at humanity and saw potential, real potential, the kind that threatens those who have grown comfortable. Tried to speak, but raised her hand. I am not finished. 52 years ago, you told my grandmother that we were not ready, that perhaps in 1,000 years we might be worthy. Well, we decided not to wait. We decided to prove you wrong. A new image appeared on the display. Maps of the outer rim, showing thousands of worlds marked with human symbols. 2,347 worlds, said. That is how many we have colonized while you were ignoring us. 53 billion people live under the protection of the human empire. Our technology has advanced beyond your understanding. Our ships are faster, stronger, and more numerous than anything in your combined navies.
Dang, you can drift.
The council chamber was silent. Even the flames on its body had dimmed. What do you want? Quiet Stone asked. Smiled, and for the first time there was warmth in it. That is the right question, counselor. What do we want? The answer might surprise you. We do not want war. We do not want revenge. What we want is what my grandmother asked for 52 years ago.
Yeah,
we want
bitch.
partnership, trade, knowledge exchange. We want to join the galactic community. You want membership in the council? Asked, barely believing his own words. No, said firmly. The council is broken. It represents the old way of thinking. Stagnation disguised as stability. What we propose is something new. A partnership of equals. Human worlds and council worlds working together for the benefit of all.
Same gun?
slammed his fist against his platform, sending sparks flying. You think we will bow to you? You think we will accept orders from beings who were crawling in mud when we were building empires? We are not asking you to bow, replied calmly. We are asking you to stand beside us. There is a difference.
1 second.
The council debated for 3 days, the favored acceptance. They had always been curious about humanity, even when others were afraid. They were neutral as they were about everything. The end demanded war. In the end, made the decision. We cannot accept your offer, he told when she reappeared on the display. The council has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. We cannot simply hand over power to a species that did not exist when we were young. Nodded slowly, as if she had expected this answer. I understand your position, High Arbiter, but understand ours as well. We will not return to our cage. We will not pretend to be the frightened children you once dismissed. If you will not stand with us, then stand aside. Let us pass through council space without interference. Let our traders visit your worlds freely. That is all we ask. And if we refuse, his face hardened. Then you will learn what 52 years of rejection has created. We did not spend half a century building an empire just to have it taken away. We will defend what is ours, by any means necessary. Felt the fear return stronger than before. Is that a threat, Ambassador? It is a fact, High Arbiter. My grandmother came to you with open hands. You slapped them away. Now we come with closed fists. The choice of which one we use belongs to you. The transmission ended. The council sat in silence, each member lost in their own thoughts. Finally spoke. We must destroy them, now before they grow any stronger. We will gather our combined navies and crush this human empire before it becomes a true threat. Can we win such a war? The counselor asked quietly. No one answered, because deep down they all knew the truth. The humans had been preparing for 52 years. They had built their ships in secret, developed their weapons in darkness, trained their soldiers in the shadows. The council had done nothing except grow older. 3 weeks later, the largest fleet in galactic history left council space. 10,000 ships from 12 species, carrying crews that had never lost a war in 10,000 years. They traveled to the Pale Reach, a nebula on the border between council territory and human space. Intelligence suggested that a human fleet was waiting there. The council commanders expected a difficult battle, but they were confident of victory. They had no idea what was coming. In the darkness of the nebula, Admiral Park watched the council fleet approach. Beside him stood his tactical officer, Commander Lee. Her enhanced mind was processing data faster than any computer. 10,427 ships, she reported. Their formation is standard for council tactics, predictable. Nodded. He had studied council military history for decades. He knew their strategies better than they knew themselves. How many do we have? He asked. 4,000, Admiral, but quality matters more than quantity. Smiled was right. Every human ship was worth 5 council vessels, maybe more. Send a message to the fleet, he ordered. Tell them to remember why we are here. Not for revenge, not for glory, for the future of humanity, for the children who will inherit what we build today. He looked out at the approaching enemy, 10,000 points of light in the darkness. And tell them to make it quick. We have an empire to run.
Not right now.
The Pale Reach was a beautiful nebula. Purple and gold clouds stretched across light years of space, filled with young stars and ancient dust.
I should have grabbed it.
Poets from a dozen species had written about its beauty. Today, it would become a graveyard. Admiral Park stood on the bridge of the Eternal Soul, watching the council fleet arrange itself for battle. They were using the triangle formation, a tactic that was over 8,000 years old. It had never failed them. It was about to fail spectacularly. All ships prepare for Operation Ghost Dance, ordered. Commander Lee relayed the order to the fleet. 4,000 human ships hummed with energy as their new engines powered up. The shadow fields that Director had invented wrapped around each
Should I
vessel,
use my
making
jet?
them invisible to every sensor the Council possessed. The Council fleet is advancing, reported. They will reach weapons range in 3 minutes. Nodded,
Don't hit the tree.
he felt calm, almost peaceful. He had waited 52 years for this moment. Every decision he had made, every sacrifice he had
People behind
accepted
me?
had led to this point. Tell the fleet to go silent, he said. Let them come. On the Council flagship, Admiral
That's
of the
fair for a
watched
nice
his
window. I haven't
sensors with
played since
growing
K-pop
confusion.
Demon.
The human ships had been there a
Oh,
moment
why am I
ago.
going that way? Maybe go this way.
Thousands of them, arranged in defensive positions throughout the nebula. Now there was nothing. Where did they go? He demanded. Unknown, Admiral,
4
his
people
sensor
left? Is that how
officer
many's left?
replied. They simply
Oh,
vanished.
fuck.
Ships do not simply vanish, shouted. Find them. But the humans did not want to be found. Not yet. The Council fleet pushed deeper into
I'm
the
gonna hide
nebula,
right here.
searching for an enemy that seemed to have disappeared. Their formation stretched thin as
Wait,
they
is this where the
tried to
circle's
cover
gonna
more
be?
area, exactly as had planned.
I'm so
Now,
confused.
the old admiral said quietly.
Wait, I'm so
The
confused.
human ships reappeared everywhere at once. They materialized inside the Council formation, between ships, behind them, all around them.
I'm hiding.
Before the Council could react, the attack began.
Wait.
Plasma lances, weapons that team had designed in secret,
Oh, there's one person.
cut through Council
Oh
shields
my God, I'm
like they were
scared.
made of paper. Graviton cannons, which could generate artificial black holes for a split second, crushed enemy vessels into balls of twisted metal. The Council ships tried to fight back. They fired their own weapons, ancient
Oh my
designs
God.
that had served them for. But the human ships were too fast. They appeared, fired, and vanished again before the return shots could land. Commander watched the battle data flow across her enhanced mind. Enemy losses at 400
Wait, how many people is
vessels,
left?
600,
9 or 8?
900.
I
They
don't
are
get it.
trying to retreat. Do not let them regroup, ordered. Press the attack. The human fleet surged forward. Each ship knew exactly what to do, their crews working
fuck.
together with perfect coordination. Enhanced minds communicated faster than words, sharing tactical data in real
Oh
time.
shit.
Admiral watched his fleet die around him. Ships that had never lost a battle were being torn apart by vessels a fraction of their age. Warriors who had fought for centuries were outmaneuvered by humans who had only learned space combat a few decades ago. Retreat, he ordered desperately. All ships retreat.
Oh my God.
But retreat was not easy when your
Oh my
enemy could
God.
appear anywhere.
Oh my God.
Human ships harassed the fleeing Council vessels, picking off stragglers, destroying engines, herding them like animals toward the edge of the nebula. 17 minutes
God.
after the first shot was fired, the Battle of Pale Reach was over. 4,642 Council ships had been destroyed. The
What is
remaining
this?
fleet scattered in all directions,
What gun
running
is
for the
this?
safety of Council space. Human losses, 37 vessels. Opened a channel to the surviving
I need to
Council
move.
ships.
What am I
His
thinking?
face appeared on every screen in the fleeing fleet. This battle is over, he said, his voice calm and clear. You have lost, but we do not wish to destroy you. Go home, tell your leaders what happened here. Tell them that humanity is not their enemy. We never wanted to be, but if you force us to fight, we will win. Every time. He paused, letting his words sink
Oh
in.
my God.
We are not the children you rejected 52 years ago. We have grown, and we are here to stay. The transmission ended. The surviving Council ships fled as fast as their damaged engines could carry them. On the Eternal Soul allowed himself a small smile, but the smile faded quickly. The battle was won, but the war was not over. He knew the Council would not accept this defeat. They would come back with more ships, more weapons, more desperation. And he was right. Over the next 2 years, the Council launched attack after attack against human territory. They threw their entire military against human colonies, burning worlds with weapons of fire and stone.
Chocolate, thank you so much
They
for
used
the
their
follow.
advanced technology
Oh
to
my
create new
God.
defenses, new shields, new ways to
That's
fight.
crazy.
None of it worked. General O
I'm
led
still
the
learning,
defense of
guys.
human space.
My aim
She was
fucking sucks
65 years
ass.
old, with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing.
You can ask
Her
Michael. I
enhanced
cried the
mind
first
could
time I went
process a
solo.
battle faster than any computer, and her soldiers would follow
I
her
just got my
into
lashes
any
done,
danger.
so I can't cry.
They are attacking Colony
24
12,
hours,
her
okay?
aide reported one morning.
Look at my
50
lashes.
ships,
I
heavy
feel
firepower.
alive.
Nodded, send the third fleet. Have them use Pattern
I haven't had
Delta.
a fill in 4 weeks.
Pattern Delta was one of her favorite tactics. Human ships would pretend to retreat,
So
drawing the enemy deeper
right
into a prepared kill zone. Once the enemy was surrounded,
shit.
they would attack from all sides at once. For
Oh
all
my
their strength,
God.
were not creative fighters.
Should I be playing in the
They
middle?
believed in
Or on the
direct
side right here?
assault, in overwhelming
What's in
force.
this corner?
They never expected their enemy to run away and then come back.
Thank you.
The Battle
I
of
think I
Colony
needed them.
12 lasted
I wasn't
4
really feeling
hours.
myself
When
recently.
it ended, all 50 ships were destroyed.
I've been going through
The
a lot
colony
of
was
personal
safe.
stuff.
Its
And
10 million inhabitants
me not
watching
having
from the
my
surface
lashes
as the
done
enemy fleet burned in
just made
orbit
me feel
above
even
them.
worse.
But not every battle went
Remember,
smoothly.
guys, self-care.
The unlikely were adaptable. They learned from each defeat, adjusted their tactics, developed new technologies. Their new shield systems could briefly resist human plasma lances. Their new sensors could sometimes detect shadow fields. They were evolving, trying to catch up. It was not enough. Ambassador Shin worked tirelessly during the war, trying to find a peaceful solution. She sent messages to the council every week, offering negotiations, proposing treaties, extending the hand of friendship. They will not listen, told her one night. They were aboard the Eternal Soul, watching the stars from the observation deck. They are too proud, too afraid. Pride can be overcome, replied.
Guys.
Fear can be transformed.
Oh my God,
we just need to give them a reason to trust us.
Are you going to Friendsmith?
We gave them a reason 52 years ago.
Tell me you're going to
they
Friendsmith.
rejected it. Turned to face the old admiral. He was 104 years old now, but he looked 50. His enhanced body could have kept fighting for another century. My grandmother never lost hope, she said softly. Even after they rejected her, even after years of working in the shadows, she always believed that someday humans and the council species would stand together. Was silent for a long moment, then he sighed. Your grandmother was a better person than me. I stopped hopping for peace the day they called us unworthy. Everything I have done since then has been about proving them wrong. And you have proved them wrong, said. Now it is time to prove something else, that humanity can be more than just conquerors, that we can build, not just destroy. The war entered its final phase when General led the counteroffensive against them.
I don't really need
200 human ships surrounded the planet, their weapons pointed at a world of fire and stone.
Japan or something?
You have a choice, broadcast to the planet below. Surrender and join us in building a new galaxy, or resist and watch everything you have created burn. This is not a threat. It is simply the truth. They had never surrendered to anyone in their 10,000-year history. Their culture was built on strength, on the belief that the strong must always fight. But strength means nothing against an enemy you cannot beat. Counselor appeared on the communication screen. His flames burned low, dimmed by something that might have been shame. We accept your terms, he said, each word seeming to cause him physical pain. They will stand down. The followed a week later. They were surrounded, their fleet destroyed, their options exhausted. High Arbiter himself delivered the message of surrender. You have won, he told in their final transmission. We underestimated you. We feared your potential, and in our fear, we created the very thing we were afraid of.
I'm excited.
Nodded slowly. You made us fight when we wanted to talk. You forced us to become warriors when we wanted to be friends.
I'm not good, okay?
But it is not too late. The war is over. Now we can build something new.
This is why I'm
His crystal face showed no emotion, but his voice was heavy with regret.
Finally, we can play a
I
game
hope you
together
are right, Ambassador, for the sake of us all. The war had lasted 2 years. Millions had died on both sides, but now, finally, it was over. And the real work could begin. The Treaty of Earth's Light was signed on a warm summer day in Seoul. The The city
Hell
had
yeah,
grown since the
brother.
rejection 54 years ago. Towers of glass and steel reached toward the clouds. Floating platforms carried people through the air. Children played in parks that had been built on land once
Okay, let me
occupied
know, let
by
me know, let me
ancient
know.
buildings.
I'm excited
But
to
the
make me to get
ceremony
on
did not
too.
take place in the city. It took place in orbit, aboard the Eternal Soul, the ship that had
Oh my
led
god, why do I
humanity
feel like
through
I'm
the
gonna
war.
cry from laughing so
Admiral
bad when
Park
we
had
play?
insisted on this. He
What the
wanted the
fuck?
treaty signed in the stars, where humanity's future would be built. Representatives from all 12 council species stood in the great hall of the flagship, the with their crystal bodies, the with their flames burning low and humble,
Okay.
the floating like clouds of light, the standing still and silent. All of them had come to witness the end of
Thank you,
one era
nerd.
and the beginning of another.
She should be coming home
President
from the
walked
gym
to the
right now.
podium at the center of the hall. She was 53
She's probably
years old,
showering really
a
quick.
woman who had grown up during the years of secret expansion. Her parents had been colonists on one of the first worlds humanity claimed in the Outer Rim. She understood, better than most, what this moment meant. "Thank you all for coming," she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the room. "Today, we end a war that should never have happened. We close a chapter of fear and misunderstanding, and we open a new book, one that we will write together." She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of humans and aliens alike. 54 years ago, humanity came to the council seeking friendship. We were turned away, rejected, told that we were not worthy of standing among the stars. We could have accepted that judgment. We could have stayed in our corner of the galaxy and waited for permission to grow. Her voice grew stronger. But that is not who we are. Humanity does not accept limits placed by others. We do not bow to fear. We push forward, always forward, no
That
matter the
aim is so
obstacles
bad.
in our
It's
path.
okay.
And so we built an empire in the shadows. We developed technology that surpassed your own. We created a civilization
Fuck.
that stretched across 2,000 worlds. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. We did not do this to conquer you. We did not do this for revenge. We did this because it was the only path left to us. You closed every door, so we built our own. High Arbiter stepped forward. His crystal body caught the light from the viewport, scattering rainbows across the floor. He looked older somehow, though did not age the way humans did. "I speak for the Council," he said slowly. "All 12 species, we acknowledge our mistake. When humanity came to us seeking peace, we saw only potential danger. We reacted with fear, not wisdom. We tried to contain
Wait, can
something
you
that could
pay?
not be
Is this where you
contained."
can pay the people to
He
be
bowed his
your
head,
teammate?
a gesture that meant shame in culture. "We were wrong, and we have paid for that error with the lives of millions. Now we seek to make amends. We accept the new order that humanity has proposed. We accept partnership instead of dominion,
Interesting.
cooperation instead of control." The treaty was signed by all 12 council species and by President on behalf of humanity. The document created a new governing body called the Stellar Commonwealth. It would replace the old council, with representatives from every species having an equal voice. Humanity would lead but not rule. They would guide but not command. The other species would be
You know what I
partners,
should
not
do?
subjects. It was the future that Ambassador had dreamed of so long ago. After the ceremony, Admiral stood
I'm not
alone
gonna.
at the
There's
observation
too many
deck,
people there. I'm not gonna
watching
fight them.
Earth spin slowly
some ass.
below. He was 106 years old now. His enhanced body was still strong, but his heart felt heavy with memories. "You should be celebrating," said a voice behind him. He turned to find Ambassador Shin walking toward him. She had removed her formal diplomatic clothes and was wearing a simple dress. She looked exhausted but happy. "I am not a man for celebrations," replied. "I have spent my whole life preparing for war. Peace feels strange to me." Stood beside him, looking out at the blue planet below.
I should not be running
"My
out in the open
grandmother
like
would have
this.
loved to see this day. She believed in humanity, even when no one else did." "Your grandmother was the reason we are here," said. "After the rejection, she was the one who convinced the government to fight back. She never stopped working, never stopped planning. Even when she was too old to leave her bed, she was still giving orders." Smiled. She talked about you, you know. She said you were the most stubborn man she had ever met. Laughed, a rare sound from him. She was right. Stubbornness is what kept me going. Every time I wanted to give up, I remembered the look on their faces when they rejected us, and I found the strength to continue. They stood in comfortable silence for a while, watching the planet turn. What will you do now? Asked. The war is over, the empire is secure. You could retire, enjoy the life you helped create. Shook his head. I am too old to change. I will stay with the fleet, help train the next generation. Humans will need protectors for a long time to come. The
Was that
peace
a
we
bot?
have built is fragile. It will take centuries to become strong.
I can't
In
tell.
the years that followed, the stellar commonwealth grew into something no one had imagined. The former council species, once proud rulers of the galaxy,
Is it better
learned to
have the
work
med kit over
alongside the humans they
small
had once dismissed.
buzzballs?
They shared their knowledge of consciousness, teaching humans how to expand their minds in ways that even enhancement technology could not achieve. After centuries
I
of
should be going the other
warfare,
way.
discovered a passion for construction, using their flames to forge structures that would last for. They contributed their understanding of crystal technology, creating new forms of art and architecture that combined human creativity with alien precision. Trade routes connected thousands of worlds. Knowledge flowed freely between
Just taking the
species that had
road.
once been enemies. Children grew up learning
drive.
languages from a dozen different civilizations. And humanity changed too. Contact with older species taught them patience. Working with alien minds taught them new ways of thinking.
Fuck.
The burning ambition that had built the empire began to transform into something deeper, something more lasting. Not everyone accepted the new order. Some humans believed they should rule the galaxy completely, without sharing power. Some aliens resented being led by a species they still considered inferior. There were protests,
Okay, I kinda wanna get
conflicts,
off.
even small rebellions. But the Commonwealth survived. It survived because most people, human and alien alike, wanted it to survive. They had seen what war could do. They did not want to see it again. 20 years after the treaty, a statue was unveiled in the Great Hall of the Commonwealth headquarters. It showed two figures standing side by side, looking up at the stars.
Why are you running,
Admiral
bro?
Park and Ambassador, the soldier and the
My aim was
diplomat
so
who had
bad.
started it all, did not attend the
Don't run from
ceremony.
me.
He had died peacefully in his sleep 3 months earlier at the age of 126. The medical technology could have kept him alive longer, but he had
That's no
refused
fun.
further treatment. He said he had done what he was meant to do. It was time to rest. Ambassador gave the dedication speech. She was 79 now, still active in Commonwealth politics, still working for the peace her grandmother had dreamed of. These two people changed the galaxy, she said, looking up at the bronze figures. One with weapons, one with words. They showed us that humanity could be more than survivors. We could be leaders, builders, dreamers. She reached out and touched the base of the statue, where an inscription had been carved. They told us we were not worthy, so we became unstoppable. The crowd applauded. Humans and aliens stood together, united by the vision of two people who had refused to accept rejection.
Does this give me...
Above them,
I
through the
already have
transparent
100%.
ceiling, the stars shone bright. Thousands of them, each one home to worlds that had once been empty. Each one part of the empire that humanity had forged from nothing. The Council had rejected Earth. And in doing so, they had given humanity the greatest gift possible, a reason to become something more, something eternal, something that would shine in the darkness of space for as long as stars continued to burn. The story of humanity was just beginning, and it would be a story for the ages.